Today we're here in Creemore, which is a gorgeous small town, really nice vibes, and it's surrounded by rolling countryside, which makes it the ideal location to get out of the busy city life and maybe build a secondary family home. The area has a strong sense of community with a really friendly atmosphere, and it's super inspiring. Thinking about doing a build in this community will help you get even more involved in what you want to see creatively, so it can fit into the charm of this community. Creemore and the surrounding areas are home to so many artisans and builders that are extremely skilled and creative, which makes collaborating with these people in this area so much more exciting. You're gonna have a fresh perspective on your future project and builds, being able to source local talent and materials. So, I'm super excited to check out Riverside with you. Let's go. And we're here. Welcome to 2308 Riverside Drive. This is just the beginning. Right now we're walking along the shared use road that crosses the Mad River that we're gonna show you in just a moment. By the way, if you're a fisherman, you like to fish trout, when it's in season, the Mad River is a great spot to do that. So, follow me and let's enjoy this tour. All right, so this right here is the Mad River. It runs through parallel to the property and goes all the way up to Creemore. This is really great fishing throughout here, but the property is located on the far side. This used to be a 100-acre farm. Way back in the day, it's been divided up, and that's what makes this property so unique and special, is the fact that it's at the back end of this whole entire area. All right, so the road allowance that goes from the road to the back of the property is roughly starting around here. So getting a driveway up and through this area is gonna be what you're gonna wanna take into consideration when it comes to building out and planning for your property and to access the property behind everything else. Okay, so now we're through the most challenging part of your new driveway getting up to this property. But once you get through and onto the field and the road allowance, it's just a straight shot back. Now, from the Mad River to the edge of the property that I'll show you in a few seconds is about 1,850 feet, maybe a little bit more, just to give you some reference on the distance that it takes to get from there to the start of your property. All right, so we're only a 7-minute drive from Creemore, and from the Mad River, we're a good stretch of driveway to get to the corner start of your lot, which is right here. And then you have 23 beautiful acres that stretches all the way back to the back corner of the lot. All right, so when the current owners bought this property, they envisioned having their home situated on this elevated stretch of land. You've got a couple of acres here that are open. It's really, really nice. You're elevated above the back forest here, and this is facing north, this is south, and we've got west right here. So in the summers, you get beavers that come through here. It's not full standing water, but it does feed the stream that goes through the back of the property. The current owners have spent a lot of energy and effort in maintaining the lands as they are right now, working with the Natural Conservation Authority to ensure that native species are being introduced, native plants are being introduced, and the current owner has spent years fighting off all the honeysuckle that's been creeping into the area. All right, so over the years, the sellers have put a lot of energy and effort into maintaining a lot of the trails that sweep through the back half of the property that has more dense forests. Once you get back to Lay's Burn, there's even thicker forest that could potentially be logged for income potential, but they never did any of that. They just left it as is. So it's grown in really naturally and nicely. But they did enjoy walking the trails around the perimeter of this beginning forest here. Okay, so we're through the valley area and then we're back up into elevation before we head into the back half of the property. And you're gonna notice that this is the only started structure on the property. Now it's less than 10 by 10, so there was no permit necessary. But the thought process was to have a little area that you can hang out in back here, store some gardening tools and stuff like that. All right, so we're getting into the back quarter of the lot here. And you're really starting to notice that there's a lot of elevation throughout. You've got all this beautiful hardwood, and the trails are now intersecting. We're coming up to the edge of the property line, which has a fence that runs parallel the whole way up. It's an older fence, but it's a good indicator to tell you where you are. And there's a trail that lungs around it. And then there's also another trail that we're gonna follow that's gonna take you down to Lay's Burn. All right, so when we initially walked through here the first time with the sellers, they were super excited to tell us about all the wildlife that they see through here whenever they come to visit. I'm talking deer on deer. She mentioned the biggest group of deer that they saw was 17 at once. Just imagine that coming through here. All kinds of different animals that are just enjoying nature and living out here because you're so far off the main road, which is super awesome. So as you can see, these are all deer trails, and they go right up into the other side. This is where a lot of them have been crossing recently since the last snowfall. I will say this is Lay's Burn. It's a smaller river. Obviously right now we've got a lot of snow. In the spring and in the fall when it rains a lot, you'll get a little bit more rise out of this river. But it's generally, as the seller has said, pretty low throughout the summer months when the area gets a little bit more dry. This river does feed off of Mad River, which we saw at the front coming in. And the nice thing about that is in the spring, you could potentially fish for brown trout that could be coming up here and channeling through your property. Okay, so as you can see, the back half of the property, once we've crossed the river, is pretty dense forest. And it's actually really nice back here. It hasn't been logged or anything like that in a very long time. They've just left it as is. Now, on the southeastern side, after you cross Lay's Burn, you've got about 650 feet of depth until you get to the corner end of your property, and that's the full 23 acres. And then Lay's Burn actually kind of runs through the property, and there's about 350 feet on this side. And the back end of the property here is about 490 feet wide. If you've made it this far along in the video, I appreciate you paying attention. And clearly you're interested in this unique property. A few things to note: the property is zoned EP under the Township Zoning Bylaw and regulated by the Niagara Escarpment Commission. Portions of the site are designated Greenland Natural Heritage Areas in the Township's official plan and are also under the jurisdiction of the Nottawasaga Valley Commission Authority. Buyers or buyer's agents to do own due diligence with regards to the building processes. If you have any further questions or you'd like to schedule a private showing, let us know.